Welcome to the Health Courage Collective Podcast, Episode 3, Don't Be Normal. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective Podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the Health Courage Collective Podcast. I am honored to be spending a few minutes with you today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Today we're going to talk about how most people tend to spend a lot of time wondering about what is normal. Does this look normal to you? Am I normal for thinking this? That doesn't seem normal. It makes sense at first blush that we don't want to think of ourselves as abnormal or weird, but would that really be so bad? There is a quote that I love by Jiddu Krishnamurti, hope I'm saying that right, that says, quote, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." Isn't that so good? Let me say it one more time. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Wow. We could go all kinds of directions with that, but if you narrow it down to just a physical health perspective, do you really want to be normal, especially in 2021 America? Here are 16 statistics of normality for you to consider. These are things that I researched and found. I believe them to be accurate, but I didn't do extensive fact checking on each one. But here we go. Number 1, the United States is ranked 35th out of 169 countries measured for the health of its population. But it is number 1 in healthcare spending, and by a large margin. So, we spend way more than any other country on our healthcare, but we're sicker than 34 of those other countries. Number 2, 75% of healthcare spending in the United States is spent treating preventable chronic illnesses. 75%. That's a lot. Number 3, the average American over age 65 is on more than 5 prescription medications. I would say that's true. I see that every day that I go to work. Keeps me in my job. Number 4, 80% of American adults over age 50 have at least one chronic illness, and more than 50% have more than one chronic illness. Number 5, the average age of death in the United States is only 78.5 years old. Number 6, 71% of Americans have not properly saved for retirement. Number 7, the average retired couple needs $295,000 saved to spend just on healthcare costs during their retirement. That's not including if one of them needs to go to long-term care, which is much more expensive. But imagine that $295,000 just for healthcare costs. Imagine what you could spend it on instead if you didn't need to spend it on your healthcare. Number 8, 72% of American adults are overweight and 40% are obese. Number 9, the average American woman is 40% body fat. Number 10, the average American woman has a 38.7-inch waist and is 5 feet 3 inches tall. Okay, thanks for your patience. Number 11, 75% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. And it's cheap and easy to find. Number 12, at least, but I suspect probably more, 42% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. Number 13, cognitive decline, weakness, impaired immune function, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis are all common and considered relatively normal parts of aging. Okay, getting close. Number 14, Only 14% of Americans report that they consider themselves very happy. So that makes me sad to think that 86% of Americans do not. Number 15. I think this one might be the most shocking one to me of all of them. 60% of our calories in the United States come from ultra-processed food. Ah! I am certainly not perfect, but I taught my kids to call that frankenfood. And so they would ask me, especially when they were little, is this real food or is this frankenfood? And there's so much frankenfood. 60% of our calories, that is crazy. Okay, last one, number 16. In a 2016 study by the Mayo Clinic, less than 3% of Americans meet the basic qualifications for living a healthy lifestyle. Okay, that was a lot. Thank you so much for sticking with me as I read that long list. And it's a lot to think about. And none of this is meant to shame anyone or blame anyone. Although I do have a major bone to pick with the big food and big pharma industries. But on an individual level, I know that the average person is good and doing the best they can. I especially don't care what anyone looks like, and I'm all for unconditional body positivity and destroying the ridiculous standards that society feeds us about what is considered beautiful, especially for women. That being said, according to endocrinologist Dr. Robert Lustig, the biggest long-term risk for infirmity is your body fat. He also says that, quote, visceral fat is the fulcrum on which your health teeters. And the simplest and cheapest surrogate for determining your health status is your waist circumference, which correlates with morbidity and risk for death better than any other parameter. So that's why the body fat and waist circumference statistics that I stated are so concerning. When I considered this list of 16 things that I read, and I'm sure there are probably other important things that just didn't occur to me to include, the reason I don't want to be normal, I'm making air quotes, which you can't see, the reason I say don't be normal is that it is scary. Obviously, all of us are hoping for the best. None of us want to become ill or infirm. We don't want to spend the last half of our lives in doctor office waiting rooms and lines at the pharmacy. We hope we don't run out of money in retirement or become weak or mentally absent. We still have things we want to do on this planet. But what I'm proposing is that there's a big difference between having that wish and having a plan. It's normal to have a wish. It's abnormal to have a plan, a solid strategy that you can follow to determine what your future years will look like. Clearly, we can expect that unexpected things will happen to us. And much as I'd like it if we could, we cannot control every detail of our future. There will be setbacks and disappointments. And I'm certainly not suggesting that anyone who needs to take medication or is being treated for a medical condition did something wrong. No. But the little choices that we make today have more effect on our future than most of us give them credit for. A lot of the things we worry could happen to us are preventable. And the time to start that prevention is today. It starts with deciding to not be normal. So get weird and start creating your own health strategy. Envision exactly who you want to be in the future and what you want that future to look like. Do you want to travel? Do volunteer work? Restore old cars? Become a philanthropist? Climb mountains? Play sports with your grandkids? Rescue animals? It's up to you, and the way to hook your future self up with more opportunities is to make better choices today. Not tomorrow. Today. What kind of health and energy are you going to need to be who you want to be in the future? What is one simple thing you could start doing today to make your future self's life a little closer to the dream you have for yourself? What is one simple thing you could stop doing today to make your future self's life a little closer to the dream that you have? I know that you already know most of the things you could do to up-level your health and maximize your potential. I'm here to give you a few new ideas, but mostly I want to encourage you and help you get out of your own way so you can get yourself to do what you truly want to do and ultimately become who you truly want to become. I'd love to help you create your plan and embody your healthiest self so you can age like a pro. And guess what? It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be simple. And it can be fun, truly, and delicious, and full of kindness and self-compassion. So, if you're not satisfied with the standard of care, aren't willing to pop a pill for every symptom, refuse to be scared as you watch and wait, and want to take back control of your own biochemistry and age enjoyably on your own terms, guess what? You're not normal, and that's a beautiful thing. You belong here. I'll leave you with a quote from the actress Jodie Foster. Normal is not something to aspire to. It's something to get away from. Thank you for being here today. I truly appreciate your attention. Congratulations on taking a step toward your optimal self. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and feel free to connect with me and other like-minded women in the Health Courage Collective Facebook group. Until next week, don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.